These were the opening moves of one of the most shocking games of round 3 of the Chess World Cup. With the white pieces here is Gukesh d4 destroyed and dominated today. It's an Italian game that he chooses, also known as the Gucci Reza piano, in honour of the chess king of fashion. His opponent is Frederick Svaney, something pronounced like that. He's a German guy. The Germans are storming it in the World Cup here. He plays the two knights defence, invites white to hop and hit the sensitive point. Black goes d5, different game. Gukesh doesn't do it. It's over the board chess, classical time control. You can see the clock times on the left here. What follows is truly a masterful chess game, incredible battle, and shocking result. We're going to see it play out. Both players push those little H-pawns. Grand minstrels love to take control of G4, G5, I4, I5 in these structures. These are some standard developing moves. The bishop drops back. This is prophylaxis or prophylactic chess, which means to guard against before something happens, because white often wants to push d4. We now get a4, makes you feel like a boss to push a rook pawn, gain space. And why bishop d7 and not bishop e6 to challenge? You don't mind the doubled pawns? We don't really know. But after Gukesh sets up one of the most beautiful, massive bathtubs, almost a jacuzzi, we know the Grand Monsters love their baths. Here's Ali Reza in his, king of fashion, like I said. Not sure what the Uno deck is all about or the serial killer look, but it got posted to his ex. He loves it. We now get this bishop coming to e6. Surely a mouse slip on the first move. Who knows, right? I guess he waited for a pawn structure change. This is the game. Gukesh fianchettos, and he's gearing up for that d4 move. King h8 in response, and it indicates that black is gearing up for some kind of kingside expansion. So what does Gukesh do? The mysterious rook move. A great way to freak out your opponent, get inside their head. Now, it's actually one of the top engine lines, but so strange to look at. Surely you start the knight maneuver already. Let's crack on here, because Frederick puts the knight on the edge. Really harmonious play. Knight f1 and knight f4. And he's now gained space there. The queen's on the way. You could go d4 right now, but rejected, I suspect, because black can equalise the game, something like this. And even though it gives zeros, you'd almost take black here. Isolated queen's pawn, lovely b4 square, open bishop over here and queen. Somehow it feels easier to play for black. So let's run back. We didn't see d4. Gukesh never achieves it. He puts the bishop back on the starting square. What a yucky move. Sets up d4 once more. You know, the knight would be hanging. So the queen comes out to protect. And this critical square. Knight g3 now played. And pawn g5 just goes for the throat here. Andrea's spinning the beats. Everyone's having a great time. And g4's even a threat. You know, captures, bishop g4, horrible, eternal pin. Then you can't play d4 very easily. You still can't very easily. The engine finds some ninja lines to make it work, where you then take here and play knight h5 stuff. It's crazy. We're sticking with the game because Gukesh plays knight h2, protecting himself from this push here. Now we see queen g6, and it's more brilliant attacking chess, preparing h5 potentially. That square's covered twice. f5 could be on the way. Maybe first prepared by knight e7, pawn c6, rook a d8. The plans for black are much simpler. Gukesh now develops here, but Svaney turns his attention away from the king side, back towards the centre, and thrusts with pawn d5. Beautiful play on all areas of the board. We now see pawn takes, bringing this bishop into the attack and pressuring the pawn on g2. The opening has gone wrong here. Takes is played. Pawn recaptures, hitting the structure. How should you now play? Well, you have to either go f3 to cover, but it's a bit of a nasty structure, or knight f3, seen in the game, or engine's top line, take, and give an exchange in just a moment. First, sack a pawn. This is so difficult to understand, but then sack this exchange and play pawn d4. You can't take or you lose an unprotected queen. This is the line. I mean, who's able to assess this with a human mind, that you can give up an exchange and it's okay because you've got enough play with the knights and everything? Really tough to understand. So we didn't see any of this stuff. We saw Gukesh play knight f3, but the tables start really turning now. Or not turning, the avalanche of good positional play continues. Because the rook centralized, saying, please take my pawn, it's not really a threat. Takes, but now the follow-up is bishop takes on g2 once more. And you're crashing through to the king. A second pawn is going to drop. This one is an absolute dragon, leering over the position. So with the pawn untouchable, Gukesh plays this rook across, desperately trying to justify it, but now we get takes on c4, and either pawn captures is horrible. But certainly this one's easy to understand. If you do like this, well, this pawn just collapses. There's 3 pieces on it, only 2 defenders. You simply take the d pawn. So we saw d recaptures. Pawn f6 now covers the center. This knight centralizes, maybe headed for here on a good day. g4, hop back into f5, lovely jubbly. Although obviously you have to watch black's knight, but you get the idea. But just no time. This. The queen now moves to e3. If you go here, well, you don't really want to be in an eternal pin. Knight d3 wins the game, fine. Tactical issues. So queen e3 played. Hits a pawn over here, but there's just no time to gobble it up because we get 3 only moves in a row to keep the advantage, starting with pawn to f5, kicking this one back. Look at that wonderful big black center. Knight d3, it's an octopus. Rook moving over, and now it looks like you want to go e4. Support the knight some more, hit this guy, very uncomfortable. But that's a mistake. You give a massive square here, or even a massive square here. Well, no, you didn't give a square, but this is a possible move. And this doesn't work, or this. And there's no time to take the knight, or you lose your queen. Take the queen, So that is not the way to go. f4 is the move. Similar ideas, but much better execution. You're going to lose a piece unless you go queen e4. Same tactical trick, but we didn't see takes, bringing the knight in with tempo. Excellent king h7. Knight's about to drop. Can't move it or your queen's taken. So this is forced. King takes. Now knight e4 and king f5. It's rushed into the game. There was an interview with Magnus where he talked about the king being worth 5 points in an endgame. Very instructive thought, which is why it's so important to activate it. This knight drops back, but you've got the classic problem of the superfluous knight. Both of them fighting for the same square, same outpost. I mean, you'd love to get one to here, let's say, support the other, but how do you do that? How do you ever maneuver around? Black has more ideas. h5 technically best now. This seahorse was spawned, however. Why is it a mistake? Well, white can play this move. I mean, that's not easy to find. And if takes on croissant, well, look at the difference between this structure and the game. You know, white's just got breathing room, right? An f-file maybe, but whatever. There's breathing room for the king and pawns. Let's compare with the game. By the way, if you don't capture on croissant and you force the king back, well, again, infinitely better structure for white than what we see in the game. This, however, was played. Knight d3 back, rook b1, but you're never really going to get b4 in. It's covered 3 times. Whoops, not like that. You know, the knights cover it fine. So h5 now found, king f1, knight c5 back, still can't go b4, or the a pawn drops, none of it working. So f3 on the board, rook d3 invades, king f2, and pawn g4 begins the onslaught on the king side, where you've got the majority here. We see h takes on g4, pawn recaptures, and now Gukesh has to find this move of rook h1. So logical when you see it and you see how the game plays out. You know, you can play this, sure, and you can check maybe if you want to do so, sure. This is how the game could go, something like this. Now, best is actually giving an exchange here, but the point is, white clearly has counterplay. This is top move, and apparently it's a level position drawing. Understandable. Arguably, I'd think that maybe white's winning, unless black can arrange something fast. The rook's often too powerful. Open board, but apparently level. But not found. I mean, Gukesh is just losing to everyone right now. He plays rook e1, g3 check, king e2, rook e3 check, king back, and these rooks are off the board. The writing is on the wall. I mean, Gukesh losing to everyone is really reminding me of this short that I posted yesterday.
Every single one of them. And not just the men, but the women. And the children too.
What do we see in the game here? It's king e6 back, and this is the big problem. This knight is headed for f5, whereupon it can go to e3 or h4, and then take this pawn. So the king's going to be glued to the defense. So let's see it play out. King d1, knight e7, king e2, knight f5. How do you fight against it? Well, obviously you try and tickle your opponent. This is what happened. Lovely bit of tickle. Some players like to go straight for the jugular, really get them giggling like that. Others go for the tried and trusted armpit. It was great to see them doing it over the board. It has been allowed at this World Cup. And now what to do? We saw takes the knight. What if you try and wait with the king? You know, follow what we discussed. Bring the king back. Defend the pawn. King g1 forced. Well, now the second knight hops in. Here's a quick sample line of just sort of waiting around. Eventually you can maneuver something like this. Just one sample line. If you try and defend, then what's next? What does it say? Knight f2. Oh, you're almost mated, but you have to take with the pawn. Stop it like this, but then okay, knight g3 check. Didn't quite have this line prepared, apologies, but here's a way to win a knight, and with it the game. Okay, you get the idea. You just get paralyzed. So we saw takes, pawn recaptures, this knight heads for e4, b6 defends, and Gukesh goes on the offensive over here. Again, if you wait, the win is actually very instructive, because if you start hopping and checking, you know, where's the breakthrough? King just waits with the pawn, and this knight covers the base here. And if you try and attack this one, knight d2's on tap. Well, this is the winning idea. Knight d6. And if you take, you break through like this. This is actually a win. And if you step in, white has to step off, and you win. And if you try and wait, like this, you can then initiate this classic breakthrough. And the king can't get over in time, you make a queen. So these are some of the ideas. And if instead of taking that knight, you try and hold the blockade, well, again, this is just the winning structure. King comes around, you initiate a breakthrough, and white can never get their majority going. So let's run back. This is an idea. Gukesh goes for this, however, and it allows the knight straight in. G pawn dropping. This is the game. C pawn is won. But now this, the pawn's running, it's in the delivery suite. The king scampers around, of course, but after takes on c4, we just saw resigns. Because what is white to do? There's nothing. The pawns are stymied. The king's about to run in, then march with the e4 push, or even win a pawn or something. It's 3-on-1 over here, not even 3-on-2. It's just completely dead and buried endgame. Gukesh D is knocked out. Huge day of upsets. Nodabek's going home. Anish Giri's going home. Love this chess World Cup. Do smash subscribe if you do too. Thanks also to those who have taken out the membership and supporting the channel like that. Hugely appreciated. Great to see you in the comments. Helps me spot you there. Thanks very much. And have a look at the video on screen if you want to see another incredible game of chess. Thanks a lot for watching and see you soon. Cheers.